That clicking is in the transfer case. Both the axles are spinning, the front drive axle and the rear drive axle. They both spinning, and the clicking is coming from the transfer case. So I said, dang, like this truck need a trans. So I get in the shop, and I then went ahead and started dropping the gas tank because that's where the fuel leak was coming from, above the gas tank. This is where the story get a little funny at. That's the top of the fuel pump. That is the high pressure nozzle that provides fuel to the engine. Where is the hose that's supposed to be connected to it? The hose is right there. You see that black thing right there? That's the hose. So you need that tool to disconnect that line. I find it funny because the fuel lines aren't rusted. I thought the fuel lines was rusted and that's where the leak was coming from. Or sometimes the nozzle will break off for the fuel pump and you'll get a leak from that. We have neither one of those issues. The fuel lines have a little bit of rust between the tank and the frame rail, but it's not enough that it'll leak. And then the nozzles on the fuel pump aren't broken. Someone disconnected the fuel line. So they disconnected the fuel line to make it look like it got a leak so that you can't drive the car. Daggone video and zoomed in. All right, so the transmission, right? Those connectors have been touched before. You see it's barely in there, that one. And then the transfer case, you see how bright and silver it is? You see how clean that tag is and how dirty and oily everything else is on there? I think that transfer case has been replaced, and I think that this transmission has been out at some point. And I think that for multiple reasons. One being those connectors that are disconnected, the transfer case being that clean, and then also right around the bell housing. This here is, it holds the wires. Like it keeps them out of the way of the exhaust so they don't get burnt up. When most people take these transmissions out, they never put this back in place where it's supposed to go. So as you see, this one isn't back in place either. So this truck has probably had a transmission and definitely had a transfer case service, and it's looking like that's what's blowing up on the truck. The transfer case is probably blown up again. Yeah, I'm gonna get from under here for a spider dropping my head, but I'm gonna reconnect this fuel hose, and I'm just gonna cross my fingers and hope that maybe the car is stuck in 4-wheel drive or something that's clicking.